In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the washer tank on this Mazda 6. To do this, we're going to have to remove the front bumper, so let's get started. On each side, at the top under the hood, you'll see that there's supposed to be two Phillips headed screws, or bolts really. They're machine threads, so mine is different here, but they're supposed to both be the same. Take a screwdriver and unthread them both. Once again, this is going to apply to both sides. This is what they look like. I'm going to have to use a 10mm on this one. A lot of times these up here get extremely rusty, which is most likely why this one was replaced. Do the same to the other side. Let's remove the two 10mm bolts that hold on the air intake here. Once you loosen them up, you should be able to pull this up and out like this, whether the bolts come out or the whole piece slides up. Sometimes these bolts get stuck. You don't have to completely remove this, but we do have to lift it up to get access to that push clip. With a trim tool, pop the push clip up. Well, remove the center first and then pop the rest of it out. There's another one towards the right side of where we just were. Remove that as well. And all the way on the other side where we had the two screws at the beginning, there should be another push clip. Remove that as well. And if you pull on the top of the bumper, you'll see that it's loose. On the side of the bumper cover in the wheel well, if you just turn the wheel, you have access to the three push clips that are on here. Use the same trim tool, pop them all out. We have to free up the fender liner from the bumper cover. And once you do this, with all three removed, you'll be able to peel this back. Right up in here, there's going to be an 8mm screw that we have to remove. It's going to be a little tricky to see, but if you stick an extension with an 8mm socket right up there, you should be able to remove it. There it is. Underneath the vehicle, you'll see several 8mm headed screws. Start here and just go on the perimeter of the bumper cover and remove them all. These shields will kind of droop down a little bit, but they won't come off completely. There's a push clip here that we'll come back for. There should be three more screws on this side. Let's get the two push clips that were here. Hold the shield so it doesn't fall down suddenly. There we go. Looks like it is also clipped in over here, or hooked in I should say. There we go, that's all. Underneath this shield, you'll see two push clips that are kind of hiding in there, here and here. We have to pop these out. Otherwise the bumper will be stuck on the bottom here. Now these are kind of gummed up with a bunch of sand and debris, so a lot of times they're difficult to remove, and if you break them you're going to have to source new ones. Just work them back and forth. Eventually they should break free and come out. There we go. If your vehicle has fog lights, unplug the wiring harness, press on that connector, wiggle it off till it comes off the bulb. There we go. And we're going to have to pop the wiring harness off of this retainer. Do the same on the other side. Reaching in from behind the corners, pop the front bumper off of the fender. It's got a bunch of clips, and follow it along at the top here. We're going to do the same on the other side. At this point, all of the hardware is off, so we are left with just two big alignment pins here and here. They go into the body of the vehicle, and they're sort of like push clips at the same time, so you have to grab and pull firmly. There we go. Now you can remove your bumper cover. Now to remove the washer tank, I'm going to go back under the hood and just pop this out of this retainer here. And at this point, you should be able to pull straight up on it. There we go. This should pop out of the rest of the washer tank. There's a little rubber grommet here. Set this aside. Let's unplug some of these wires here. Unplug the washer pump first. There we go. And then get all these connectors removed from the washer tank. go. Unplug the level sensor if your vehicle has one. Pull the harness aside. Next, remove the pump from the reservoir. Twist it. You might need to pry it a little bit, but eventually it'll come out. There we go. Depending on how much washer fluid you have, of course. Make sure you catch it into a collection bucket. Mine is not very full. I'm going to stick that grommet back in there. The new washer tank will have a new grommet. There are 3 10mm bolts holding this tank on. I'm going to start with this one at the top. And then 2 on the side. I'm going to remove the hose off of the pump because it has to actually go through a slot on the washer tank. So get this off, and then as you remove the tank, there we go, pull it down, and then this right here, you're going to have to pull that through, clear the wiring, and there's your tank. Let's remove the level sensor if your vehicle has one. Start by twisting and pulling. If that doesn't work, you're going to have to gently pry it out. Just like that. There we go. If you wanted to replace the grommet, to take it off, just slide it off, whether your new tank comes with one or you already have one to replace it with. There we go. Install the grommet for the level sensor if you took yours out. And of course the level sensor. Make sure you press it down all the way so that this lip of the sensor, or the flat piece, goes into the grommet. Take the washer hose and slide it through this opening here, and then line up the washer tank with the vehicle. It has a couple hooks here that it will stay on, so it's obviously not going to be secured, but it's enough for you to start the bolts in. Install the bolts. Don't tighten them too much, they're only holding onto plastic. Slide the pump in. A couple twists. Make sure it's seated all the way, or else you're going to have a leak. Make sure it's seated all the way so you don't have a leak. And plug in the washer hose on the back side. Just make sure it slides in all the way. And then take all these wires and re-secure them in their location. Just like so. And plug things in. Level sensor. Make sure that clicks, and washer pump. Now stick the filler neck in. As you slide it down, make sure it goes into the washer tank on the bottom there. Just like that. Once it's in, clip it on. Now take your bumper cover and slide it over everything. Make sure it lines up. And you have those 2 alignment pins that need to fall into place, which you can see through the sides by the headlights. Once those are in, press them both in. That should hold your bumper cover in place. On each side, line it up with the fender and the headlight. Tap it into place. On the side, let's put in the 8mm headed screw that secured the bumper cover onto the fender. Snug it up. It's only going into plastic, so once it bottoms out, just give it a little extra and that's it. Make sure you tuck the fender liner behind the bumper here. But then on the bottom it needs to be over so that we can put all the push clips in. Reinstall all 3. If any of yours were missing or broke, replace them. Do the same to the other side. Resecure the wire for the fog light and clip it back onto the fog light itself. Make sure that clicks. Do the same to the other side. Take this clip, put it back into the bumper, tuck the shield underneath the bumper cover, and I'm just going to start with putting back the 2 push clips so that it can be held in place while I put in the screws. Put in all the screws that hold this on. There are 3 on each side. Put those back as well. Let's reattach the bumper at the top with the 2 bolts. Mine has a bolt, 10mm head bolt here. Yours should be a Phillips head. Let's get the Phillips head in. It's a good idea to put some anti-seize on the threads of these to prevent them from rusting in the future. And when you tighten them up, just give them a little snug after they bottom out. You don't need to go very tight on those. Do the same on the other side. Reattach all the push clips at the top, lock them in. Just go along and re-secure all of them. Lift up the air intake here. Get that push clip on. There we go. You can set this back down. We'll come back in a second and tighten those up, but get the last push clip in. Take the bolts and start them back into their threads. And snug this up. This is on rubber bushing. You don't have to crush it or anything. Just make it snug. Everything's tight. So there you have it. Job is done.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.